What's up, HyperFast Nation? On this episode of the show, we are featuring another speaker from the 2024 HyperFast Agent Summit that was held in Arlington, Virginia. In today's episode, we have a real estate team leader who has sold over $7 billion in her career, has led multiple teams, coached several teams to building seven-figure business, and spoken on many stages. Welcome to the show, Keri Shull.
So you guys, some of you in the beginning of the day said, how do we convert more business? How do we have more of a process? How do we avoid wasting our time? Anyone feel like some of the time that you're spending right now might not be optimized? Okay, so you know that I've always thought deeply about data because of the process I keep saying, the reality check analysis, right? So before we dig into this, I just want to quickly frame that because it's part of this. And it's part of what we talked about earlier, but it's not in this presentation. So the very simple way of looking at this is, I believe that you have to set the expectation of the client in the initial consultation. That means you use the last 90 days of sales to prove to them whether what they want exists in the market or does not. You do not volunteer to go look for off-market properties if what they're looking for does not exist. You guys with me? So I train people on this, and then I hear them say, oh yeah, but I'm going to find it off-market. I'm like, no, you're not. The sellers are way too educated here. They are not going to not look at comps when they go to sell their home. So you have to have comps that are realistic, and you have to guide the buyer to that conclusion. You guys with me? So you always hear me talk about data that way. Today we're going to talk about it completely different, okay? So I want to help you close more deals and keep more clients through data, but from a different vantage point. Okay, always there's 3 steps to the buyer process: the needs analysis, the buyer presentation, and reality check. If you haven't learned that from me before and you want to watch a video where I break it down, just ask Kim. She will give it to you for free. I'm not trying to sell you a course. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want you to have higher conversion. So the needs analysis is always about digging deep and really understanding what matters to the buyer, right? You guys saw that form that I put up there. I'm just going to talk for a minute about my experience in the beginning of my career. I was very fortunate because at first I sold new homes. So what that meant, I got a lot of at-bats. I got to practice having a conversation with buyers over and over again. Most people in the room will never talk to as many buyers as I talked to in my first year in the business, okay? Because it's a numbers game. So if you're in a model home, and by the way, that was in 2003, dating myself a little bit right now. By 2006, I was selling condo buildings. I didn't get to eat and I didn't get to pee in a day. There was an 8-month period where I sold 433 condos. Well, I know a thing or two about sales conversion, right? So I want you to listen from the point of, here's the deal. If someone left my model home and I didn't sell them something, did I have the chance to sell them something else? Nope. I had my one thing, which meant I had to dig really deep into their emotional needs, the need behind the need. Because if I couldn't help mold what they were looking for and adjust their expectations, and they left, I would have to start over with the next person coming through the door, right? So when I developed the systems and processes on the resale side of things, I applied a lot of what I learned on the new home sales to make my sales team more effective, right? So from my perspective, what happens with a lot of agents, they breeze over things. Oh, so tell me what you're looking for. And the client starts to lead the conversation. We want to live in this neighborhood. We would, they start just going through everything, right? But the problem with you letting them lead is that you're not getting deep enough to actually know how to solve their problems. So if they want a 5-bedroom and you don't understand how they intend to utilize each bedroom, when they can only afford a 3-bedroom, you can't solve their problem because you don't understand the deeper need for the 5 bedrooms and the spaces that they have in their head and their heart. That might sound cheesy, but that's the bottom line. It's about the emotional connection to what they want. If you can't get all the way to the emotional connection, you can't problem solve effectively. Are you guys with me? Okay. So some of you guys are going to see this form and you're going to make the mistake of just filling it out. No, it's about truly going deep. Why the location? What do they like to walk to? How frequently do they walk to those locations? Right? Where is their attachment? Who are the people who live there that they want to be able to see? How often do they see them? All of those things actually matter. What's their commute to the office? Right? Then you can actually solve the problems. So once you understand their why, part of it is understanding what exactly is their association with buying. Right? If you don't understand why they want to buy, which by the way, buying is an investment. When they say that, is that the reason? No, that's the surface. So what will it mean for them in their life if they make that decision? Often I use the word commitment because people are afraid of commitment. So I use it in a way that when they say the positive side, I associate that with commitment, right? It's just a strange little thing. But when you get deep enough to truly understand, you're going to be more effective in all of your conversations and serving that client. Does that make sense? So I think that the benefit of knowing all of this is the mini closes you can do, but ultimately it's steering them back to what is motivating them. If you truly don't understand it, as soon as they get nervous, you lose control. And right now, I believe being a real estate agent, a lot of it is about being able to instill confidence. And that's been true forever. So how often are you working with a couple and what the husband wants and the wife wants or the partners want don't align? More than they align in the beginning, right? And there's always differences of what they value. Always, right? Usually if everything they agree perfectly, one of them is not being honest. So if they start having resistance to commitment, it's because you don't actually understand both parties' individual needs. So you can help them create compromise, okay? So I think one of the things I used to hear from buyers is you just help us to feel so confident in our decision. And it was because I truly focused on understanding everybody's needs and then getting everybody on the same page, right? And this is all process driven. So here's the deal. Right now, how many clients do you think are nervous about buying? A lot of you are saying all of them, and I believe that's true. So 16% of agreements that ratify fall apart right now. Did you guys know that? I wish I actually knew the statistic of what's normal. Because I would say normal is probably 2 to 3%. It's probably very low. But right now, it's 16%. Yuck. That's not ideal for all of us, is it? Because that means we've done all of the work, all of the work, all of the work. And then some of them, when they get nervous and they back out, what do they say? Who said that? Say that later. What did you say? Say it again. We're going to put our search on hold, right? No. Okay? Remind me at the end, I want to talk to you guys about buyer's remorse and how to seed that up front. That's not in here, but that is something that I did every single time when I sold a new home, and I'm going to teach you the exact strategy for how I addressed it in advance of them having it. Okay? All right. Who will remind me? I will. Thank you, because otherwise I promise you I will forget. Okay, so here is my philosophy. When they start to get wishy-washy and it's your job to get them confident, you have to use historical data. Data, how many of you guys are high C's in the room? Like very analytical? 5 of you. A few of you are literally going like this. I'm like, wait, are you or aren't you? Are you trying to decide what's happening? Okay, so there's a few of you. How many of you are really high D's? Okay, now D's, I'm a very high D, okay? Your problem is you think they should just know this shit. And their indecision is irritating as shit, right? I was almost going to drop an F-bomb there. I steered the ship away from it. But you get very irritated by the fact that they said one thing and then they did something else, and so you become short with them instead of leaning into their discomfort. If that is you, it's okay, deep breath. We're going to talk about how to use data to separate the emotion for yourself and give them the confidence back, and to stay in rapport and relationship by not getting frustrated, okay? So because of this thing where more people are backing out, I think it's even more important that we dig into the steps we need to take in the process, right? Now, this is the other thing. We're going to hold off. A lot of these people are renters, and they're saying, we're just going to rent a little longer. How many of you guys think that's the right decision for them, by the way? No. We're going to talk about why it is not the right decision for them, and there's tons of misleading news out there right now trying to influence people to stay renting. It's fascinating to me. I actually didn't realize this until like a couple days ago. You guys know who, Dan, what's that guy's name? The guy that I was talking to about speaking at his event, the mortgage guy. The mortgage coach. Dave Savage. Do you guys know who the mortgage coach is? Okay, I was talking to him, and he was explaining his mission to me, and he started to show me a bunch of false headlines. And they were all about why it might make more sense to rent. You could not make up the shit. It was like, you're going to be wasting money on real estate commission. Why waste money on interest on a loan? Like these, I'm like, who wrote this and how dumb are they? Like, are you kidding me right now? So anyway, there's tons of stuff trying to influence people on this. So when they get nervous, it's important to stay focused on what serves them, right? What was their why, and how do you get them back in alignment with the goals they set for themselves? If you don't have a deep understanding of their goals, guys, you're toast. Because saying, remember you said you wanted to invest, is not enough. You guys with me? Okay, so here's the deal. This is the net worth of a homeowner versus a renter. This is a fact. It is what it is. It's inarguable. So knowing this, how many of you guys think it's a good idea to coach people to stay renters? No. It is not in alignment with what is best for them. It is not, especially around here. Zuzu, is it okay if I share your personal information? Okay, so, can you share it? So Zuzu on our team just got some devastating news. Now I'm just going to make her publicly share it. Sorry, Zuzu.
That's okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Zuzu. So I moved into my apartment December 2020, which was COVID rates. And at the time, for my one bedroom plus a den, so about 800 square feet in Vienna, right across from Don Loring metro station, so near Mosaic. At the time, it was $15.23 base rent, so very cheap. And at the time when I was touring the unit, the guy was like, "This is like really great price for this unit," and I was like, "Yeah, he's probably just trying to make me, apply." Long story short, I lived there, and then after 1 year, I was like, I'm renting, so might as well move somewhere else. At the time when I was looking at other places to move into, everything was over $2,000 for one bedroom. And I was like, why would I change? Like, my rate is so much lower, because they increased my rent to like 16 something, like with 3% increase after the 1 year. So then I stayed, and fast forward, I'm still there right now. And why Keri brought this up was that my my lease is ending in April, and they increased it by 40%. Yeah, so 3% first year, 4% next year, and this time around it's 40%. So guess who's buying? I'm trying.
So,
I am. No, it's okay.
I bring that up because I think it's important when we're running the mathematical equation. Thank you for sharing, Zuzu. Sorry to put you on the spot. I think that's important because there's a perspective out there like, oh, if you rent, you have more flexibility. Do you? Do you have more flexibility when your rent goes up 40%? And she's not the only one. We've had multiple people on the team at the 40% increase rate. Have you guys heard of other people in this area? It's going up 20, 30, 40%. Chase Whitaker, his went up 40%, right? So I bring that up because we really need to be able to face the facts with the client, right? So the facts I'm going to show you today, by the way, I did by simple math, not the right math. And I'm going to explain that because when I do it for an actual client, I did the presentation this morning. How many of you guys know me? Okay, that's when I always do the presentation. If I did it 3 days ago, I would have done the actual math, but I'm going to teach you the difference and show you why this is dramatically less than it would be if you were calculating it for a client. Fair? Okay. So because 32% of buyers right now are first-time home buyers, typically it's around 25%. That means more of the people that you're supporting right now are doing this for the first time and have serious fears about buying. Okay? So whenever a buyer is deciding between renting and buying, one of the things I believe is you can't focus just in that moment because what they're telling themselves, every being of their body doesn't want to commit when they get afraid, right? So they say to themselves, I'm just going to wait a few months. This isn't about that. It's usually a much bigger decision. So I always ask them, okay, how long have you been renting? In this area, what do you think the average answer is?
8.
Yeah, 8?
3, 5.
Yeah, 7, 8. It ends up typically, in my experience, being a very long period. So I say, okay, we're going to round. We're going to do round math for just an easy equation. Is that okay? Yes. We're going to use 10 years. Okay? Because you have to take it to enough data that they can process what it actually means. So we're going to look at if you kept renting for the next 10 years. Oh, I'll never do that. Well, the way I see it, you're kind of at a crossroads. You're making a decision right now that you've made every year for the last 7 years. So what makes you think it'll be different in 3 months? I think it's important for us to analyze the data together. So even if you decide that you want to wait 3 months, a year, however long you want to wait, you know what that means to you. Okay? So what I'm doing is enrolling them in listening to me and actually hearing the facts. Okay? So when you present it as a 10-year decision, here's the data points that I want you to come to. 1, the appreciation potential, okay? So I'm gonna walk you through exactly how to find that. It is so simple. This exercise is not something that's gonna take a long time as long as you have a trusted partner you can call for the one piece, which is this one. What they will pay down in principal based on the price point that they're buying and the loan that they're looking at. And usually when they get afraid, they've already identified most of these factors, right? And then you have to know what they're spending in rent. So we always recommend in that sheet that I keep showing you guys, the buyer process, you're going to ask them what they're currently spending now in rent. Okay? So here's how it works. The first step is to look at the property that they want to buy, the same criteria, and figure out what that property was worth 10 years ago. Okay? Once you figure out what it was worth, you're going to look at what the appreciation potential is. So I think I broke that down. So if you have the average from 10 years ago, then you're just going to figure out the percentage increase and you're going to apply that to where the property is today and look at what they could expect if they were to hold the same property that they want to buy for 10 years. Are you guys with me? You want to drive this conversation to a dollar amount so it's real to the client. People don't respond to percentages. Do you guys agree? If someone's like, oh, you're going to make 14%. I'm like, great. And I'm a real estate agent and a successful one. But James, I think James made this comment, or it might have been Grant. We only think in 3%. That is me, my friends. Okay, so if history were to repeat itself, that's a very, very important data point. Okay? Step 2. If your client, this is the part that I said I did super easy math and what I'm about to show you is bullshit. I'm calling myself out. So when I calculate this for clients, I'm very visual and I'm bad at math. I make them help and have the calculator. If you guys have been with me a long time, you know this. I'm like, I can't do the math. Who will help me? I do that to the client so they're involved in the data. I also do that because when they're involved in calculating it, what do you think they believe it? They're the ones who ran the calculation. I just gave them the data points. Does this make sense? Okay, so when I did this, because I was doing this right before y'all arrived, this one. I did the math based, I don't remember what the exact amount was, but I just did the easy way. I multiplied whatever the amount was by 12, and then I said, okay, let's multiply that by 10 years. Whatever amount you're about to see in here is bullshit, because does rent stay the same for 10 years? No, it does not. When you are calculating this for your clients, you want to ask them, what percentage does your rent tend to go up per year? Oh, it didn't go up for a year and then it went up 10%. Then Okay, so let's figure out an average that we can count on. And then you write year 1, year 2, year 3, year 5, all the way down to year 10. You run the calculation increase every year, because the amount when that increase compounds is dramatically different. You guys with me? That piece, when they start to calculate it, makes it very real for them. And it's super, super important that you do that. Okay, then step 3. I would text my lender immediately if my client was getting wonky about a deal. And I would ask them, hey, if they were to pay off their loan for 10 years, what amount of principal would they pay off based on X property that they're looking at? Okay, this is something to hold them in, and it is also something to do if they're not sure if they want to make an offer, to help them come to the conclusion that it's a good financial choice. Because what's your job? Educate, remove fear, instill confidence. Instill confidence that they're making the right financial decision. Now, if you ask me to calculate this, I would have to use a mortgage calculator. It would be very clunky and it would take a long time. Personally, I'm not skilled enough to do that. It would irritate the client and I would lose their interest. So for me, I would always have a lender do this, but some of you may be better at this than me.
Show me the money.
Okay, so here's the deal. You got to show them the money. So when you look at this, it's important to know that the calculation I did was way under what it would actually be. And over 10 years, they would pay $600,000 in rent. $600,000. If it went up 5% per year, this number would be massively different. And some of you guys don't realize this, right? This is why the 10-year increment in this conversation is so important. Do not do 1 year. They are not making a decision about 3 months from now. They need to understand why people make more money when they own homes. That's what they have to understand. Are you guys with me? If you don't show them that data and you just tell them this is a good decision, you're making the right choice. Remember, you want to invest. That is not strong enough right now. They are too afraid. Okay? And I got in the resale business in 2008. Were people afraid then? I sold the shit out of some houses. Okay? Because I viewed my job as helping them to bring them along and get them comfortable. And I really believed in the real estate market in DC. I really believed they were making the right financial decision. I also believed that rent was going to keep going up, and a lot of them could lock in a payment for 30 years. You guys remember the first speaker this morning? At dinner last night, we were talking, and Dan and I were talking to him. In Canada, they only can lock in an interest rate for 5 years. Wow, that massively changes their opportunity to provide stability with buying, right? We have a huge advantage in this country because if somebody locks in their payment, they're locking in their payment unless they get an adjustable mortgage, which right now, that's not a dramatic difference between a 30-year and an adjustable anyway, right? But anyway, so this was the projected equity. This is the principal pay down over the 10 years, and this is the amount they would spend in rent. So the decision would net them $1 million difference when you think about they would automatically lose that money versus the money they would gain. Are you guys with me? So when they say, oh, but we're just going to wait, there's just too much competition in the market right now. It's so funny because people are like, oh, nobody's buying houses right now. And then they go to buy a house and then it's, oh, I'm not going to buy now because there's too many people who are wanting to buy. Okay? Do you guys notice that? What is that telling you about their emotional state? They're not stable. Yeah. That's not what I was thinking, but yes, fact. What's the other thing it's telling you? Fear. Fear is normal no matter what phase of the market we're in, right? In 2021, it was a fear that they would miss out. There's always a fear that we have to work on, and so we just have to get really good at addressing the fear that exists in the people that we're working with in that moment. You guys with me? Okay, so here's the thing I would say. If they're telling you, oh, there's too much competition right now, is there going to be less competition in 3 months? No. And what will happen to prices if you look at the history of that time period? They'll go up, because when competition comes, there's always a reason not to act. And you'll probably never time it perfect. But if they start telling you, yeah, we're just going to wait till the end of summer, show them the numbers. Dig into the data. Show them what properties were selling for at the beginning of last summer and what they were selling for at the end, right? Use data to help them decide and get comfortable, right? Put them at that point of decision. All right, now here's something else. For me, I think I'm a really high D, but I also care really deeply about people. And I want them to know I always put the relationship first, and I want to position them to hit their goals. And whether now's the time or whether it's going to be 6 months or 2 years from now, I want to be the person who makes them feel confident that they're making the right decision at the timing that works for them. Now, when I have that conversation with a buyer, what does that do?
It instills trust.
Yes, it instills trust and confidence and makes them know I'm not about the money. So that's the other thing in how I approach working with buyers. I would always tell them, I'm your girl. If you want to be aggressive and you want to make an offer on 20 houses, I'm going to be right there cheering you along. It does not matter to me how many houses we put an offer on. But here's what does matter to me. When we walk in a house and it's the one, you better tell me, because I'm aggressive. And I will lose it for you if you're not clear with me that that's the one you want. Okay, now how many buyers walk in houses and pick 20 that they don't care if they win or lose? None. None. But what I'm helping them understand is I am willing to be very aggressive with the terms and conditions as long as they don't really care that much whether they win or lose. But do most people bid on a house that they don't care about? No. And so what tends to happen is, well, Keri, on this one, it's the first one. We actually really want it. So then they're more open to hearing me out. So a lot of this is just setting expectations that the relationship is important to you so that they trust you fully. In the beginning of my career, how many of you guys think I'm competitive? Okay, 100% of you. In the beginning of my career, I learned the hard way. I broke a few hearts because I lost the house being too aggressive. I actually made it about me. Because the way that I got, and I'm embarrassed to admit that. It actually makes me emotional to admit that. Wow. Ooh. Because I attracted clients through my statistics. So I was very aggressive about winning closing costs off for them and getting them money off the purchase price. But when I'm there comforting them when they're crying because they lost the house, I'm like, holy shit, I have this wrong. This is not about that. They don't love me because I saved them an extra $3,000 on the closing costs. They love me because I'm a stand for what they want. And I listen all the way, and I'm willing to take cues from them, and when they get afraid, I will wrap my arms around them and pull them down the path until they own that house. Are you guys with me? Okay. That made me super emotional. Whoa. Maybe that's the first time I've admitted out loud that I did that, but I did. I really did in the beginning. Okay. So, in conclusion, clients need confidence. Do you guys have a couple of tips for how you give your clients confidence? Because I bet there's some amazing brain share in this room. I'm going to throw this. Is that okay? Here we go. Coming at you. Bam. I was a pitcher.
Well, just like you said, Keri, like I made it about me in the beginning of my career. I think I did certain things. And so I use those experiences, maybe not the exact people and places, but it's like I've walked down this road before, I'll tell them, and here's why I don't think this is a good idea. What you need to do is A, B, and C, and here's why. And when you can walk somebody through something and show them why it's a good idea, it like completely transforms everything, and all of a sudden they're on board. But when you're just telling them it's a good idea, they don't always hear you. You have to show them why something's a good idea.
Totally, absolutely. Anybody else have a way that they instill confidence in
I just
their?
don't want to be there for the whole ride, from A to Z. I'm going to handhold you through the whole thing, the experience. Any questions you have, there's not a dumb question. Because that's what a lot of buyers say to you. I have dumb questions. It's not dumb.
Right.
If it's on your mind, let me know.
Nice. That's smart. Okay, ready? It's coming at you.
Okay. I was going to say switching up the environment. So instead of always meeting the client in the office, take them to Starbucks, take them to dinner, take them to your home if you need to. That way their armor comes down.
Yeah, totally. One of my favorite stories, I had clients. You guys ever have couples that dig their heels in and then they start to have like crazy tension when you're showing houses? So I have clients like that, and they do it every house. They hate each other. Like I'm like, oh gosh, I have to like do damage control or they're going to get divorced. And they are the most amazing couple, and we've now helped them buy and sell a lot of houses. But the first time, the intense hatred was very alarming to me. And I remember like it was like an all-out brawl, and they were very comfortable with me, so it was going on. Like you guys have all been there, right? But in this particular case, I believe that as the agent, our job is to always support the person who doesn't agree with the purchase. Okay, anybody else? So for me, as this conflict was going on, I said, listen, the most important thing, hold on a minute, both of you guys' emotions are high because you both have your own individual goals, and that is normal, right? And one thing I've always said, I've normalized, because I used to sell condos in the city, and I used to have couples that would come in, and the husband would want like a 2-bedroom condo in the middle of the city, and the wife would want a horse farm in the middle of the country, and getting to alignment was really challenging, and often they couldn't afford both, right? So I say, wait a minute, I want to focus on how many things you agree on. There are so many couples that want X and Y, and you guys want to live in the same city. You both value a backyard. You both care about having space so your kids can come home. Like there's so much that you agree on. But in this case, I just want you to know my policy is that unless we both agree on a home, we keep looking. So right now what we're going to do is get in the car and we're going to Taco Bell. That was the only thing I could see. And they were like to each other. And then they both were like, well, we like Taco Bell. So as we're driving to Taco Bell, I'm like, oh shit, how are we going to get over this? And so I say that the wife was the one that wanted the house and the husband wanted a different house. I say to the husband, there is going to be a house that you both feel good about. And so for this conversation, what we're going to do is outline what's not making us feel good and what is making us feel good about each house, and then we're going to figure out how to come to a compromise. By the end of Taco Bell, they decided to buy the house the wife wanted, and the husband was on board, right? But if we didn't have that space away from the house, he was digging in his heels emotionally because he didn't like the backyard, but there were a lot of other things that were good, right? So I bring up that specific scenario because I think sometimes it's about normalizing differences, definitely changing the environment, and then being a stand for their marriage and the relationship, right? We cannot save them all, by the way. But when you want both of them to be in relationship with you if it doesn't work out. Okay, any other tips?
So like when they're trying to decide how aggressive they want to be, what kind of offer, a multiple offer situation, I like to ask them like, how are they going to feel? So if you're trying to decide if you want to sleep on it, if someone comes in and puts in an offer and this house is gone tomorrow, are you going to say to yourself, that's okay, there's another one? Or are you going to say, man, like I really wish I would have gone for it? So just kind of having them, how would they feel if something different happens, putting them in that future position, I guess.
I love that. Yes.
I got a really good one too.
What I like to do when I'm working with buyers who, need a little bit of confidence every time we go into like submitting an offer, I like to use a rating scale system, right? So I like to dive into exactly the reasoning of like why our client wants this property. And so really like stopping and listening to what the client actually wants and then asking them, okay, on a scale from 1 to 10, just throwing it out there, how much do you guys like this property, right? Does it check all of the boxes? Does it check some of them? Are you guys on the same page? And, if they say, hey, this is a 9 or a 10, and so we say, okay, well, if it's a 9 or a 10, we're probably going to want to be more aggressive with this offer and really just kind of bringing that out on the table so everybody's on the same page. And if they're both like, well, it's a 4 or 5, well, let's go out and continue searching. Or if you guys want to, maybe do a different type of offer where, maybe we're going under asking or, being a little less risky with the offer, we could do that too. So
Nice.
Yep.
Very smart.
So this actually comes from my team lead, Mike Pattison. And I've seen other agents do it, but none quite like him. Knowing and showing your competence, when he goes on a showing, he's got a really detailed history in construction. So when he walks in the house, he tells the client, this is what year it's made. So you gotta look out for this. This is what the structure is made out of, all that kind of stuff. And the clients, when they hear him talking about that stuff and knowing that he's in their corner, they trust that whatever deal they go into, he has their back and he's going to catch those things that other agents might not.
Ooh, I love that. Honesty and competency combined.
I would say researching each home that you are going to show your clients. They're probably going to have questions in regards to just random, hey, you know the square footage of this? And if you already know it, you just look super smart and you look super confident, like you know exactly what you're doing. So I just try to research every property before we go, so those questions can be answered if they just come up randomly.
Nice. Anyone else?
I was gonna say, that's a really good point she made. I was just showing the peers with Ross, some clients of ours,
Yeah.
and the way he would point out different features and why it was a good idea and why they installed it, and how they had done this in many other buildings, and you can be that type of agent like it.
Huge. Yeah. A couple things on showing houses, and then there was something I committed. Oh, buyer remorse. I believe in asking them to rank the house. I asked them on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm old, so I had a notebook whenever I was showing properties, and I printed out the listings. And then I had a system where I did learn the hard way to ask if they get car sick, because I'm very like, do this, right? I'm very directive. So once I had someone puke in the car because I directed someone who got very car sick to take notes and they just listened to me. It wasn't ideal, and it wasn't my car. So I learned to say, do either of you get car sick? And if the answer was no, my next question was, who has better penmanship? And then I passed them the notebook. And it was a notebook that I kept possession of. But with some of the families in 2008, there was a lot more inventory, right? So when I first got started, I had to have a system that supported me being able to remember all of the features that they liked and didn't like. And I was working with a lot of clients. And so whenever we would go, to Latasha's point, whenever we would go to the property, before we walked inside, I would do a summary. Here's the details of the property that are important for you to know. Now I remember that we talked about if there was an office space that we could have in the lower level, that would work for you. This is a 4-bedroom, and I know your ideal situation is 5, but when I studied the photos, here's what I saw. There's a niche in the lower basement that could provide an excellent solution for your den. So when they go in, the framework in their mind is different than if they went in blind and they went, well, this is a fucking 4-bedroom, and she didn't listen. You guys with me? So how you frame it is really, really important. And then the other thing, and Chris and I were talking about this via text the other day. I sold a lot of new homes. So sometimes in a building, they would have like 40 vacant listings. If I wasn't really clear about what they wanted and very directive and able to answer why I was showing them what I was showing them and getting them to rank the properties, my policy was I never went to a third property unless they A, B ranked, and they could be different. So Husband might be A, B, and wife be A in terms of the order of whether they would buy. But then I listen closely to the why, because the one I would take them to next was based on that feedback. And if they said, well, I don't know, a lot of them would say that. I would say, okay, I completely understand. What we'll do is take another minute and look around, because my philosophy is that we always want to be able to decide what we would buy if we were buying right now and why. That way, when you're at work and I go to look at a property for you, I'm able to be your eyes and ears on the ground, and I'll never waste your time showing you something that doesn't meet your needs. So the more you share with me, the more I can shelter your time. Does that make sense? They will always open up when you tell them why.
That's how you get people to talk to you at open houses too, have them rate the house from 1 to 10. People always love to give you their feedback when you do it that way.
Totally. Absolutely. Okay. Buyer's remorse. Thank you. So here's the thing. When I was selling new homes, people were coming in and I would close them the first day. I had to do that because if they came back the next weekend, the price went up $5,000 or $10,000 and then they'd be angry. So I would be telling them, listen, I know it feels a little rushed to you because you just got here, but you have been looking at properties online. I know today's your first day out. You've actually screened hundreds of homes before you came here to see me today, haven't you? They had. They had, right? They've been looking on Zillow. Okay, so the problem with waiting, and if you're okay with it, I understand, but most people hate throwing away money. When you come back next weekend, it is going to be $5,000 to $10,000 more expensive, and I can't control that. I'm not going to be able to change it. So is getting a good deal on the condo important to you? Now, how many people do you think say, no, I actually don't care at all about getting a good deal? None. Doesn't matter what the year is, what's going on in the market. They're like, no, I want to get a good deal. Okay, then here's the deal. We're going to work together and we're going to get to a point that you feel confident this is the right decision. Even though we're moving pretty quickly, if you look around, and this is what would happen, all of these other people, when I talk to them, are going to get excited too, and that's why prices are going up so quickly, right? So it would be a hard close. They would be sitting there, they would be nervous, and my mentor trained me after they signed the contract. They were filling it out via paper, and I have a trick with that. If you're doing paper contracts, all you do, when people get nervous, they start to talk. So you redirect their attention by just tapping the paper. Tap, 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 tap. And all they do, literally, I'm telling you, they just start signing as you're tapping. It works very, very well. Done it hundreds of times, okay? So then at the end of it, here's how they feel. Oh my God, what did I just sign? Is she like a mind ninja? What just happened? They are literally shocked that they just bought a home. So you have to pause and you have to say, I know you had a lot of options. So what was it that actually made you decide that this is the right place for you? And then shut up. Whatever they say next, like they usually will tell you the things that they didn't tell you before they wrote the contract. Actually, we've been looking for 6 months online and we've never seen a balcony that overlooks the green space. This is exactly what we were looking for, because then their guard is down. They already made the commitment. Okay? It was my grandmother's dying wish that we use this money, and she loved trees, and you can see the trees from whatever it is. You need to know that when the pressure is down, because when they get buyer's remorse, you have to be able to say in their own words from their perspective why they made the choice. Okay? So here's the other thing. If someone is analytical, if they're a high C, there are 5 of you here who will appreciate this, the rest of you will not, they will get buyer's remorse. So if I'm going through the process with somebody that's very analytical, I say, I have bad news for you, and I want to talk about it now. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, you are going to hate me. You are going to think that I coerced you into a bad decision, and you're going to be very angry with me. I have good news, though. And they're like, what? I have M&Ms for you. I would slide M&Ms across my desk. I literally had packets of M&Ms. These are buyer's remorse pills. Okay? So the first thing you're going to do when you start to hate me, some people throw up even. When you start to have these deep feelings of upset, first of all, I want you to know, when I'm deciding between a black pair of shoes and a brown pair of shoes, I immediately regret my decision. So I'm with you. That's a small choice, and it haunts me. I try and bring humor, right? But I would say, this is a big decision. So your emotional reaction is going to be bigger, and you're going to be more upset tomorrow. Typically, that subsides in a day or two, but it's really intense at first. So the first thing you will do is pick up these M&Ms. The second thing you will do is pick up your phone and call me and say, I'm having that feeling where I hate you, and we will discuss it and it will be okay. Because this is the right decision, because that they told me. Can you commit to pick up the phone and call me when you have those feelings? Now I would tell them, if you don't have the feelings, you're a freak of nature. They will be like, what? I'm like, no, seriously. Like, there's like 2% of the people who don't freak out. And if that's you, I want you to text me anyway and be like, dude, you were wrong about buyer's remorse. I'm cool. So then they were challenged. Then like 20% would text me and be like, I'm totally cool as a cucumber. I'm like, bullshit. But bottom line, the communication was open. Okay? So if you're not addressing buyer's remorse right now, you're hiding from it. And people are still canceling on you. It's still happening. It's just you're not as armed with the tools. Okay? Was that helpful for some of you? Like, and be funny. Like the shoe thing, they would laugh because if there's someone who has intense buyer's remorse, they can associate with that.
I was also in new home sales back in the 90s and early 2000s, and it's not just how they felt, it was the opinions of all of their family members who think they know better. And I think that's something we can really address today.
Yes.
You're going to have other people who think they're experts and give you their opinions because they're trying to protect you.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. That even happened to me when I bought my first home. Like, my parents didn't want me to stay in DC. They wanted me to move home to Oregon. And so they were like, this is the dumbest decision you could ever make in your life, right? You paying $270,000 for a condo is insane. We can buy an entire farm for that. And so one of the things when I was talking to buyers, I would say, hey, my parents wanted to disown me because they wanted me to move home, but also because they were afraid of the idea of buying a condo. They didn't think of it as an investment. But a condo in this area appreciates more than in a year than a farm in the area does in 5. So it turns out my decision was really smart and yours is too.
We also want to give you all the confidence to reach out to your lenders. As a lender, we work with Mortgage Coach and Dave Savage, and that's a program that very easily lets us show principal net worth at 5 years and 10 years. And literally on a Saturday, we can do it in 2 minutes.
That's
So
awesome.
we can definitely respond quickly for you as lenders.
Amazing. I would love to talk to you more because I just met him.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you guys get confidence, right? Because today we're talking about all these ways to give your clients confidence. How do you get confidence? Mike? Data? Yes?
Being a part of your team.
Ah, thank you. Thank you.
I'll read my 5-star reviews.
When you need to get confidence, you read why people love you. That's super smart. Super smart. Referrals? Yep. Okay.
I would say that Keri is sales.
Thank you.
Honestly, it takes more than confidence to pull off this buyer remorse, telling your buyer, tomorrow you're going to hate me. I'm chicken like crazy. No wonder you're so super successful. Because, you wouldn't want to do all that stuff. Tell somebody, you sell somebody, and they sign a contract, and you say, hey, tomorrow, when you feel bad, call me, and this is the business.
But it works. It totally works.
You're normalizing it for them.
It's almost like hypnosis.
It's a pattern interrupt there. Like, I want to talk because I don't want to sign that. Here, focus. Okay. So, I know I'm out of time. For me, the most important thing that has fueled my confidence over the years is being in rooms like this. 100%. Because I feel like when I connect with all of the agents that I can learn from, I get the best ideas. And I copy. I don't need to put my own spin on it. If it's working for someone else, I copy exactly. I ask their permission. Any of you guys like that? Like when I go to an event, somebody said take 2 or 3 things for an event. No, I'll take 10. I'll sequence the order which I will implement, but I will ask the person who did the top idea, may I copy you? And then I will send their Kim knows this, I will send it to Kim and I will say, Kim, help me copy exactly what they're doing. It's making sense. And some of you who are on the coaching calls with me, I'll say, hey, they said this. I think I might say that. So it's not that I never tweak a little bit. I'll tweak a little bit. But if they told me, hey, we tried seller workshops. We tried doing an invitation, like a wedding style invitation. And then we tested doing like a flyer. And the invitation worked better. I'll just do the invitation, right? So I think asking questions of people who are really successful is important.
One thing that you can disarm, we have an international population here. So one way of doing it, I know because I've lived up overseas for a long time. So somebody from Ethiopia or Ghana or wherever, I'll just disarm them like, oh, you're from Ethiopia. And they're like, how do you even know that? But it's like, just even if you don't know that, just doing some research on your client beforehand.
Yeah.
Find out a little bit about their culture, will disarm them.
Yeah.
You come into the door and say, hey, can I have some injala bread? They're like, what are you talking about? It's like, they hope they know.
They feel like you understand them.
You understand them.
Yep.
Develop trust.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys are interested in joining our coaching program, some of you in this room are already part of it, but some of you are trying to find your tribe. You're trying to figure out, how do I grow? What does that look like? So here's what you get. You get bi-weekly access. We have one-on-one coaching in a very small group environment. So some days Magali will have a question and we'll be going over her question and other leaders are able to learn from that. I like that environment because we all learn so much from each other. And then we have a lot of different weekly training. We have Call the Doctor with Dustin Brown. How many of you guys know Dustin? He's our scripting expert. Jess, you guys work together on the team at the same time, right? Yeah. He's amazing. And then we have HyperFast Academy. So for a lot of you, you want the process. You want to know each part of it. We go through that in detail. And then we have masterminds. So tomorrow, the team leaders are getting together and we're doing a mastermind where we put all of our business challenges on a board and then we solve them as a group, right? So if that interests you, this is my Instagram. There's no like coaching funnel or anything like that. All you do is scan that and then you DM me coaching and we'll follow up with you about it. Cool. All right, so Dan, where are you? Come on up here. We are going to close out the day. We just want a couple of takeaways. What are the things when you're looking at your execution list that you are going to take away and go back and execute? Danny. Oh, no, 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 no. I saw that going badly. I thought Latasha was going to get taken out. Go ahead, Danny.
So I would say most of the time we're like, I need more leads, more opportunities. And I think going back and going deeper into what we already have, deeper into the, like what you were just saying, deeper into the conversations with our clients.
Yeah.
I think that was probably my biggest thing is not being surface level there. But even in the database, just deeper with what we have and utilizing what we're already doing. So it's my.
Can I give one piece of advice?
Mm-hmm.
And you already have heard me say it, but I'm going to double down on it. How many people in the room have not heard of dub video?
You're going to tell me that.
Yes, here it goes. I just remembered that. So dub video is free. There's no fee. You go on there and you download it, and it enables you to be a little bubblehead on the screen when you film what's behind you. So what I would recommend you do, in your CRM, you guys use Follow Up Boss, right? What is the IDX feed inside of your FUB?
We're using Ylopo.
Okay, so you can tell if somebody was on a property and what they looked at in Ylopo, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I would do is look at the people who have favorited a property multiple times. You can sort by it in FUB. And then I would go on Dub Video, and the one that they've looked at 3 times, I would say, hey, I was looking at properties today, and I thought this one might appeal to you. I remember you mentioning, when we met at 123 Main Street at the open house, I remember you mentioning how much you liked white cabinets in the kitchen. Stop on the kitchen photo. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Stop on the kitchen. I thought this kitchen might really match what you were looking for. You mentioned you wanted to be able to entertain, you da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Would you like to go see this house? Please reach out to me. I'd love to get to work for you. Bam, you have their attention, right? Because you guys, you have the ability to be mind readers with the technology that we have, but most of us aren't leveraging it. You can leverage it visually simply by looking at the data. That's it. That is a way to go deep and get their attention very quickly. Cool. The video. Oh, and also, it's a little finicky. If Erin was here, she could tell you what I did wrong, because anything with technology that is possible to do wrong, I will do it. So I couldn't make it work until she changed the browser. Zuzu, do you know what browser it's supposed to be in? Chrome?
Chrome,
Not Safari.
Not Safari, which is what I was doing. Ready? Coming at you.
You mentioned a conference in, was it Nashville?
Yes. So it is in March. It's called Maverick. And it's in Nashville. I think it's March 21st and 22nd.
How do we find out more information about that?
If you DM me, send me details on Maverick, I will absolutely send it to you. Just tomorrow I'm going to be in that closed room, so it'll probably take me one day. Yep.
Implement more educational videos to grab more social media SOI leads.
Yes, I love that. Who else? Is it, what? Spent the whole day with you guys. You guys have no more actionable items. Are you tired? Shake it out.
Magley's got
Come
one.
on. Magley, what do you got?
You can invest $100 in Facebook and just grab leads on there.
See what happens. Yes.
I think from the panel interview, they were talking about the rates, how they were higher. And so my takeaway would be going back through all the tags in the CRM where people had concerns over the rates the last 6 to 12 months, and then sending that list to our lender and having our lender follow up and have conversations with them. Convert.
Love that. Yes.
All right, so a few takeaways. I'll try to be quick, but we kind of hit this all the time with the team. But one, just hitting more of these events, right? If you can come to more of these and share information with, you've got great people in this room. There's a lot to take home. Also, accountability is a big thing. Zero excuses. At the end of the day, we either do or we do not. That's simple. We do or we do not. And then also, we spoke about it earlier, but just dive deeper into the client. It's not about like the appointment or whatever. Get on a relationship basis and focus on not just delivering, but over delivering. Like if you could take what's innately inside of you that makes you different from the person next to me, and you over deliver on that, you're going to have a very unique experience, and your business will profit.
Yeah. Love that.
It was kind of a golden tip that you said that I feel was overshadowed just by all the good information that came in. But saying to get your clients involved in the math so that they trust it more kind of opened my eye up to, like, you know, I show clients math a lot, but getting them involved really does help them understand it better and feel like they can trust it more. So I thought that was really good advice too.
Thank you.
What Grant was talking about, trying to dive into making people pay me for my relationships, that's something I'm going to try and do.
Smart.
I got a lot of connections out there in old country town, Gloucester, so.
Well, and you can bring a lot of value to those people.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I have
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gloucester County.
I have a friend that Haley Garcia. How many of you guys have heard of Haley? Some of you were in a training that she did. But one of the things that she did that I think is absolutely brilliant, she brought all of those relationships together, and then she had them do a mastermind of sorts around marketing, around how to grow their businesses, around how to have more confidence, around how to spend their time, like around all of these topics that were universally important. And she would have one person from the group that was really good at something particular talk, but then she was the host. And so all of these people, it was like creating her own BNI in essence, but then maybe one of the things was about how to do a better job with Canva. Well, the person in the community that sold Canva, like design, graphic design, whatever, they loved it because they got to come in and teach, and a lot of people don't want to do the work. So it was a good way of connecting. Do you know Haley? I didn't know if she was involved in that. Okay, yeah, she's a genius. So that might be a way to like double down, because then you're really deepening those relationships and helping them grow their business. Ready? I'm throwing this at you. Here you go.
I'm not sure I understand the question, but I just want to touch on what you just went through, client confidence. In our industry, we get to meet people from all walks of life. And sometimes we meet people of high net worth or high IQ, you know. It could be intimidating, and you think they know a lot. We need to realize that they also need confidence from us in buying.
Yes.
Engineers, doctors, you realize they think they know, they really do not know.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to speak into that to do with the default industry, because I have done more in that space in the last few years than others, especially in the market we are going into right now with short sales and default, you know, pre-foreclosures. The sellers, the homeowners need a lot of confidence.
Yes.
And they are looking for your confidence.
Yeah.
And more your empathy, you know. Or if we are going into the area market, which is maybe in a few years down from here, those people are looking for people to hold their hands and instill confidence, because you kept talking about confidence. We don't think about it that way, but we actually need to be empathic to their needs.
Yes.
And you're able to then get those leads and then get those sales, give them information to make the right decision for themselves and their families, and they will love you for life. And that's what keeps you in business, and that's what keeps Keri in business for many years.
That's really, really good feedback. It is the empathy. It's actually caring and being relatable. Okay, Kim.
Yes.
Is there, okay.
Yes.
So we are heading to happy hour.
Yes.
We're just doing it here. The happy hour is just going to be right behind us. So please feel free to stay, network, and
Let's all give Kim a huge round of applause, by the way.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, everyone else.
Dan, any closing thought? Well, before we close, I have one thing to say. Of course, I didn't know where happy hour was, so it's a good thing Kim is here. I'm like, because we're all doing what now? Yeah, you can see yes. Happy hour is starting now. What are some observations you had from the day?
Picked every idea already, but no. I think what Grant really said, right, is, you know, it's not a lead problem for most people, and other people touched on that too, right? It's not a lead problem; it's a follow-up issue, and yeah, you could get those 100 Facebook leads and close 2 of them next month. It could also take a year or 2, right? So it's just consistency, continuing to always fill the top of your pipeline and follow up with what's in there already.
Well, and James, everybody look at James. To James's point, he was really clear with you guys. What is the easy, fast things to pluck?
The phone.
And it's the phone, because the phone, you're going to be able to get through more relationships. And so I feel like that's something, like, some of you guys need to make money quickly. If you need to make money quickly, don't go play the social media game.
Well, I would get that book too, Fanatical Prospecting. Jeb Blunt's written, I think 12. I've read like 6 of them. They all kind of say the same message, but the study on comparing, you know, the person who is generating leads with LinkedIn DMs, Instagram DMs compared to the phone caller is pretty. There's just no substitute for that. So it works whether you're calling in RedX or whether you're calling for recruiting. Like nothing will beat the phone in the short term.
And one other thought on that. If you feel like you struggle with the phone, you must do open houses as much as you possibly can. Because for those of us that started in new home sales, you can't just go do an open house and hope it works. You have to study the art of that process. We have a course for that. If you want to watch it for free, you are welcome to ask Kim for it. There's a way to approach the conversation. It is not hard. but it is important that you have an exact process. One of my things, I believe in demonstrating the house. When they're in my open house, it's my house. And I'm going to treat it that way, right? So when they start to walk away from me, I pace right with them and I'm like, hey, great, let's go take a look. And guess what? They end up appreciating it because I have all the details and I ask a lot of questions that get them thinking. But if you think you're going to stand in the kitchen and sell a shitload of houses, you are wrong.
And most of you probably have several hundred people you could call that you've already talked to, so they're not, it's not a cold call, it's a warm call, right? So you can only cold call someone once if you talk to them. Right? The next time you talk to them, it's a warm call.
Yeah, completely. Well, thank you guys for investing your time and being with us today. Did you have something you want to say?
I just want to say thank you to your staff.
Oh, thank you.
They've been very gracious, and especially to Peter. The guy, Peter here, he
Peter.
was the guy taking out the trash and all that. And
Oh, Peter, where are you, Peter?
an agent here.
Yes.
There's lots of Peters
Aw, thank you for saying that, Rose. That is so nice. Peter, you just got a shout out. Everybody give Peter a hand. Woo! Thank you for being a team player. Let's go have some drinks. If you have questions for me, for Dan, for anyone on our team, we are available. We're here to hang out with you guys and to chat.
Thank you for tuning into this special edition of the HyperFast Show featuring our amazing speakers from the 2024 HyperFast Agent Summit. If you got value out of this, please do us a favor, like it, share it, and leave us a review or a comment. We love the feedback. And if you want to get more coaching from Keri Shull and I, you can get that by partnering with us at eXp Realty. When you join us at eXp Realty, you don't just get all the amazing benefits that you get from being a part of the world's first and biggest cloud brokerage, right? Which we all know those benefits are low fees, low caps, revenue share, stock awards, the ability to expand anywhere, right? You get all of that. But when you partner with Keri and I at eXp Realty, we become your coaches, we become your mentors, we become your partners in building both your real estate sales business and your residual passive income. All you need to do to learn more is pick up the phone and send me a text message at 703-638-4393. Again, if you are ready to learn more about partnering with multi-billion-dollar agents, top sponsoring agents at eXp Realty, myself and wife and business partner Keri Shull, pick up your phone and text me at 703-638-4393. Thanks for tuning in.